Shalom, Yasharala. I want to give infinite honors to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakadash. I want to give divine honors to our teachers, the apostles of Great Millstone, who are worthy of their divine honors. And salutation to my fellow laborers in Yahweh Shai, pushing this truth across the four winds, laboring for their penny, their 4 days' work, the kingdom. Shalom to you, brothers. Peace and blessings to the elect. This sit down, man. I came across it. I used to look at this guy when I first came into the faith. When you first come in, you look at all accounts. Every brother could attest to that. And a topic been coming up with a lot of younger brothers about looking at the different camps before they get their foundation settled strong and before they've even ingested the sincere milk. Because it's dangerous when you look at other camps when you haven't got onto a certain level yet. And this is the reason why. This guy Hashar, man, he's very knowledgeable. He's a precept extraordinaire. And for the most part, 80% of what he teaches is accurate. And that's the worst type of person to fucking listen to, man. Listen to somebody like that will get you killed. Will get you cast in the outer darkness into the lake of fire, man. All right? And I'm going to give you an example why. Why we tell younger brothers to only listen to the elders of Great Millstone and GMS exclusively. All right? We don't tell you to do that forever, but until you get built on a solid foundation. Let me get Timothy. This is 1 Timothy 4:14. Here we go. 1 Timothy 4:14. Neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy with the laying on the hands of the presbytery. Okay? Meditate upon these things. Give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all. So what you've been given to you by your elders, who is the presbytery, all right, through prophecy, you're supposed to meditate on those things and give wholly to them. All right? And this is what your elders gave you. Take heed unto thyself and to the doctrine. They gave you a doctrine, man. All right? And you're supposed to only teach, learn, and eat that doctrine. Continue in them, for in doing this, thou shalt save thyself and them that hear thee. All right? Now, when you look at other camps have different doctrines, and that can be a hindrance, or it really can be not just a hindrance, it could be detrimental to your health when you eat at different tables. The scriptures tell you don't do that. Let me get another precept. 1 Corinthians 12. All right, and I'm going to go to around verse. It's a lot. Oh, shit. Where am I going to start at? I'm going to start at 11. I really should have started higher, but I'm pressed for time. 1 Corinthians 12:11. For as the body is one, all right, we're one body, we're rocking on one spirit, one vibration, one doctrine, and have many members, all right? You got various brothers in this thing with various different gifts, all right? There's a diversity of gifts, but we still rocking under that same spirit, the same doctrine, and all members of that one body, being many on one body, so also is Yahweh Shai. For by one spirit are we all baptized into that body. And that's that doctrine of life, man. All right? That spirit is what gives us this doctrine that we have. Whether it be Jews or Gentiles, whether you circumcise, the circumcision and the uncircumcision. And all us in these last days are part of the uncircumcision, okay? Now we're circumcised in our hearts, in our spirit. We're Jews inwardly again. Whether we be bond or free, having been all made to drink into one spirit. So we have one doctrine, all right? One doctrine, okay? Let me go over to verse 1. It's 1 Corinthians 1, chapter 1, verse 10. Now I beseech you, Akim, by the name of our Mashiach, Yahweh Shai the Anointed, that you all speak the same thing, all right? The body is supposed to speak the same thing, teach the same thing, eat the same thing. All right? And that there be no divisions among you. So when it comes to doctrine, you can't have one guy saying the mark of the beast is this and another guy saying, no, it's not. The mark of the beast is that. All right. You're supposed to only eat at your table and teach what you've learned. You're not supposed to be somewhere else where they're teaching something different. All right. But that you be perfectly joined together in the same mind and the same judgment. All right. And we push that to young brothers because young brothers get carried away. All right. They get tossed to and fro when they haven't built up on the solid foundation. And we've seen it, man. Brothers get laid astray. All right. We had one guy when I first came in, well, I was in a few years, and the guy was going strong. He was coming to camp. He didn't know his nationality. He didn't know his asshole from a hole in the ground. All right. And just one day, it was a camp day, and he was like, he ain't coming to camp. And we was like, well, damn. When we met him, he didn't know nothing. He was happy to learn he was Israelite and everything. And one day, it was time to go to camp, and the guy called, say he wasn't going to camp because Yahushua is another God. And what had happened is he had been on the damn internet and bumped into one of them damn Old Testament Israelites, and then end up talking to one of them niggas on the comment board and end up communicating with the nigga, and then got bugged the fuck out. He started coming against us, talking shit, talking about we are following the white God and Jesus, the New Testament is some bullshit. And that happened for him looking at those other things aside from Great Millstone. That's why I've seen it bug guys out. All right? I've seen it bug guys out. So young brothers, I'm about to give you an example why not to. Now this guy Hashar, he's very knowledgeable. He's the worst kind of guy to look at. All right? Now, when you get built up, you can look at him. He's very entertaining and he's very knowledgeable. But when you first come in, I'm going to give you an example of why you shouldn't look at guys like this. All right?
It's impossible, man. Read what you got for Christ in the Bible. Jesus Christ in the Bible. Okay? Read, come on. Chapter 7, verse 24. Come on. And from thence he arose. Come on. And went into the borders of Tiberias and Sidon. Come on. And entered into a house. And would have no man know it, for he could not be hid. For a certain woman whose great daughter had an unclean spirit. So this woman's daughter had an unclean spirit. We're going to find out who this woman was. Heard of him and came and fell at his feet. Read. The woman was a Greek. This was a white woman. Now let's see what the white woman said to him and he said to her. Read. A Syrophoenician by nation, because the Phoenicians when they took over that land upon a period of time. Read. And she besought him. She begged Christ and did what? Come on. And he would cast the devil out of his daughter. So she begged him to cast the devil out of her daughter. But Jesus said unto her, who said this? Jesus said unto her. I just want you Christians to hear this loud and good. Who said this? Jesus said unto her. Read. Let the children first be filled. Let the children first be filled. What children? The children of Israel. His people. Read. Come on. For it is not me. It is not good. Come on. To do what? To take the children's bread. The bread is the blessing. To take the children's blessing and do what? And cast it unto the dog. Cast it to who? Unto the dog. Unto the who? Unto the dog. That can't be good old Jesus. It can't be. You know why it ain't to you? Because you don't read your Bible. And your pastor in church don't tell you this in the Bible. Jesus called that white woman in her nation a nation of dogs. Understand this, man. And in those times of antiquity, that was a pretty high or low statement to call somebody. So no. So why?
All right. Now he just went off. When you keep reading that passage, he granted that dog her request. All right. And they didn't finish reading it. So, all right. Well, you know what? I stopped right there. So I'm not going to say that they didn't finish reading it. But that's a conflict of interest. All right. So I'm going to start off in Matthew, the 10th chapter, the 5th verse. All right. And it reads, these 12 sent forth, Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles. All right. And he was talking about literal Gentiles, heathens. Okay. And into the city of the Samaritans, into you not. All right. Now let's see why he told them to go not into the city of the Samaritans. This is 2 Kings. Oh, where is that? Come on, brothers. 17 and 23. And it reads, until Yahweh removed all Israel out of his sight, he said by all his servants of the prophets. So Israel was carried away out of their land to Assyria until this day. All right. Now we all right, to Assyria to this day. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, Hamites, from Cutha, heathens, from Ava, from Hamath, from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. So let's go back. This is why he told them, don't go to the Gentiles or the cities of Samaria, because the Israelites wasn't there. It was nothing but heathens there, okay? He said, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, all right? And those are the people he was healing. Those are the people he was feeding and teaching them that the kingdom of his heavens is at hand, and put on a new man. So we're going to go back to Mark, all right? If this lady was a heathen, this wouldn't have happened, all right? She was in a heathen mindset, but she wasn't a heathen according to biology, all right? This is Mark 7:26. The woman was a Greek, all right? Now we're going to get into this word Greek. That word Greek is Hellenic, all right? And we're going to get the true meaning of it. I'm going to come back to that. A Syro-Phoenician by nation, all right? When it says Syro-Phoenician by nation, in that area where she lived in, the Phoenicians once ruled that area, all right? And the Assyrians came and did what? Took over the Phoenicians and conquered them, all right? You got to become a historian, all right? Then the Babylonians end up taking over that area, all right? And then the Persians took over the Babylonians, all right? And when the Persians took over the Babylonians, they let the Phoenicians keep their customs and their culture, pay them draft, and they let them build their naval, because the Phoenician was known for being great seamen, okay? All right? And then after them, the Greeks took over. And when the Greeks took over, they Hellenized the whole known world. So that's why she was a Greek. She was a lawful Greek citizen, okay? That's why I say the woman was a Greek, a Syro-Phoenician by nation, all right? She was already in that land before the Greeks conquered it, okay? Does that mean she was a Phoenician by biology? No, because that's that's the land of Israel. That's modern day Palestine. That was our land of nativity before the Assyrians came and took over, okay? And he besought them that he would cast out the devil out of her. And she besought him that he would cast the devil out of her. So she said, please heal my daughter. She's plagued with demons. But Yahushua said unto her, let the children first be filled. He's talking about the circumcision, man. All right? He's not talking about what we're about to see. For it's not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs. Like, if you have a Gentile mindset, you celebrating Christmas, eating pork, doing all these detestable, abominable acts, you're a fucking dog, man. You're not an Israelite, all right? You're a dog. You have the mindset of a dog, man. If you're not living law according to the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shem Shai, you're a dog, all right? So that's what he was saying to her, okay? And she answered and said to him, yes, Lord, yet the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. And he said unto her, for this saying, go thy way, thy devil is gone out of thy daughter. And when she was come to her house, she found the devil gone out and her daughter laid up on the bed. All right. And he, again, departing from the coast of Tyre to Sidon, that's where the Phoenicians ruled, and he came into the Sea of Galilee. All right. Into the midst of the coast of Decapolis. All right. So this is the point. He would have never healed that daughter. This is what Hashar is saying. This is what he has to break down. Why did the Most High heal a Edomite? All right? Why did the Most High show mercy to an Edomite? That conflicts with this passage right here. All right? This is Hebrews chapter 12, verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For you know that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. So if there's no repentance for Edomite, how did that daughter get healed? The Most High had mercy on her. Our great King had mercy on her. So there's no way that could have been the Edomite, a white woman or a Greek. Now let me show you what it was. All right. First, I'm going to go to Bible Hub before I go into Blue Letter. All right. Man, this shit here. I hate when this fucking shit happens. Excuse my French. I didn't mean that. Then again, fuck the King's English that was put on us violently. All right. All right, Mark. I hate when my brain frees up like that too. All right, here we go. Mark 17 and 26, and then I'm going to go to commentary. All right. This is why the Most High gave us the internet, man. This is why he give us jobs. This is why he give us homes, man. He give us all this for us to do his will and seek out the truth. All right. This is why he gives us the internet. All right. I'm going to go down to I'm going to start here by Syrophoenician. The Syrophoenician, the word which occurs in juvenile, all right, in juvenile, Sat VIII 159, what that means, 8, may be noted as an instance of St. Mark's tendency to use Latin forms. The Emperor Adrian divided the province of Syria into 3 parts: Syria proper, Syria Phoenicia, and Syria Palestine. All right? We may well believe that the official distinction rested on pre-existing nomenclature. Now, when you go in the Blue Letter, they're going to tell you that the Syrophoenician was a mixed person, and they're not. All right? The Assyrians overtook the Phoenicians. That's why it says that. Okay? That's not a mingle person. You can't be a mingle anything. All right? Now, this is the meat I want to get to. All right? These are so-called scholars. All right? And this is what they say. This is Barnes. All right? A Greek. This is the definition. This is what that woman was. All right? The Jews call all person Greeks who are not of their nation. All right? So in those days, you could have called, in those times of antiquity, you could have called a Chinese person a Greek. You could have called a Japanese person a Greek. No different in this day. If you get a Japanese person and they come over here and relocate to America and their children are born over here, they would be called Japanese Americans. It would be called Americans, citizens, and Japanese by nationality. All right? That's what it said about the Syrophoenician woman, okay? She was a Greek and Syrophoenician by nationality. All right. The Jews call all persons. When they say the Jews, it's talking about those of the circumcision. You have to go back in that day and time, and you got to become a historian and know how life was back then. All right. When they say the Jews, those were the Israelites that hadn't lost their culture and customs, and they were of the circumcision. And they would call Jews that had did this. All right. Let me get this precept. That were Hellenized. This is First Maccabees 1 and 40-something. I'm going to start at 41. All right. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed to the commandment of the king. Yeah. Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. All right. And that's what that woman was. She was a Greek that was Hellenized. All right. This is the Hellenization of the world, what you're reading here in First Maccabees. All right. She was a Hellenized Israelite that considered into the ways and the customs of the heathen. All right. So she would be wearing togas. She'll be in sororities. All right. She'll be going to the Colosseum to look at the gladiators battle it out. She'll wear a reed on her head. All of the Greek go to those baths they would have, all of the Greek customs that our people keep to this day. All right. But according to her DNA, her biology, she was an Israelite. That's why the Most High healed her. When he saw our great king healed her, when he saw her faith. Okay? So let me get back to this. All right, but if you took her back, if you go back in those days, when the circumcision, the Jews in Jerusalem would see a nigga that was living like a Jew, they would call them a Greek. They would call him a Greek. All right? In fact, let me give you an example. Shit, I'm right here in that, so might as well stay. We go over some chapters. Don't tell me it's stuck. Listen. Acts 6:1. All right, now let me get this word Grecian. All right, let's see what. In those days, when the number of this Acts 6:1. In those days, when the number of disciples was multiplied, there arose a number of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily administration. All right, so Hashar would call these Grecians white women. Right. Let's see what the scriptures say when you go into Greek about this word Grecian. All right, it's Hellenistes. All right, a Hellenist, one who imitates the manners or customs of the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. All right, that's what that lady was, okay? Using the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. That was that lady. This is exactly what she was. She was not a motherfucking white woman, all right? She was a Jew born in a foreign land, all right? And actually, she wasn't in a foreign land because Zidon and all that's Israel, the coastal ranges of Israel, modern Palestine, all that's Israel, okay? Speaking Greek. She was just a colonized Jew. She was living in her nation and she was colonized, man. Okay? And she was Hellenized. All right? But according to the flesh, she was an Israelite. All right? And it's things like that. And you got to look at it from this perspective. You got to look at it from this perspective. All right? If that's the case, if she could be healed, if a heathen could be healed, other heathens could be healed. Other heathens could come around and say that they got faith. All right? And say that they got faith in Yahweh Shai. He will heal them. All right? The only people that can have faith is Israelites, man. That's it. The people he gave his laws, statutes, and commandments to. All right? And he's restoring their customs, their culture, and his knowledge to them in these last days through the foolishness of preaching. All right? So, let me get the word in the Greek. Mark. It should say Hellenist. Hellenin. All right. Hellenin and Hellenista is the difference between a Hellenin and a Hellenista. Let's get it. All right. All right. The woman was a Greek. All right. It's the Greek word.
Strong's G 1674. Hellenis.
All right. It's Hellenis, a Greek woman, a Gentile woman, not a Jewess. All right. Now that's a bone. All right. And let's go to the root word. Let's see what the root word says. Because although she was a Greek woman, all right, and not a Jewess, she wasn't of the circumcision Jewess, but she was a Jewess according to biology. All right, let's keep digging down this wormhole. All right, a Greek either by nationality, whether native of the mainland or the Greek island of colonies. All right. Now, a Greek by nationality, that's a real fucking Greek. That's a heathen. That's who he thinks she is, a so-called white woman. All right. All right. But this is what she was in the wider sense. Definition 2. In the wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews. Now, that's a bone, because I'm going to show you how that's a bone, that made the language, customs, and learning of the Greeks their own. The primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship. All right. So it say all nations could be Greeks. all right, can be Hellenized. Now, why I said not the Jews, that's a bone in the blue letter that don't want our people to get the truth. And I already bought that out in First Maccabees, where it say that in First Maccabees 1:40, the first chapter, that it said that a lot of Israelites conformed to the religion of the heathen, and they were Hellenized. Now I'm gonna give you an example of a guy who not only did it, but he rose up in the ranks. All right. This is a Hellenized Israelite that know his nationality. This is Tiberius Julius Alexander, was an Etruscan governor and general in the Roman Empire, born into a wealthy family, Alexander. So this guy lived in a wealthy family in Egypt, all right? And he lived under the Grecians took over Egypt, and I think that was the Seleucid Empire. I don't want to vain jangle. I think the Seleucid Empire had Egypt. All right, the king of the south. All right, don't quote me on it. Salakia if I'm wrong. All right, he was born into a wealthy Jewish family, Alexander. But look what he did. He abandoned the neglecting of the Jewish religion. So what did he do? And he rose to procurator of Judea. So he put away his customs and culture and started keeping the customs of the Greeks. All right, because when you understand the Roman Empire, they adopted a lot of the philosophies and customs of the Greeks. That's why you call the Roman Empire the Greco-Roman Empire. All right, they adopted the gods, a lot of the customs and the culture of the Greeks. All right, so when this says, in a wider sense, the name embraces our own nations that made the language their customs, you can look at Tiberius Alexander. That's what he did. All right, he made the customs of the Romans his and neglected the Jews' way of life. All right, our customs and culture. So that so-called that Syro-Phoenician woman was an Israelite according to the flesh, man. She was not a motherfucking heathen. She was not a white woman. And that's why it's imperative you don't look at these other camps, man. All right? You don't look at these other camps. She was an Israelite that was living, a Hellenized Israelite living according to the customs of the Greeks. All right? No different than a nigga in America living like an American, but by biology, he's an Israelite. Michael Jordan is a Hellenite. If he lived in that day, he would be called a Greek by the Israelites that live in Jerusalem. He'll be a gladiator, eating pork, eating shrimp, probably a homo with tattoos all over his body. All right, and John and Peter, they would look at him and call him a Greek. They would call him a heathen. All right, but if he grew out his beard and put on his garments, his Israelite garments, he'll look just like the Israelites, all right? So it was the mindset, all right? It was the mindset why the Most High called her a dog, all right? Most of our people are dogs, man. Most of our people are dogs. They live like the heathen round about us, all right? That's why the scriptures say, envy not the oppressor and choose not his ways. You're going to be abominable like him, all right? Fucking dog. So with that, Lord willing, to sit down was edifying to the hearers. I'm going to give infinite honors to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, and Karkadash. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, a great millstone, and salutation to my fellow laborers of Yahweh Shai. Kwam Yasharala, Ba Ba Ba.